I had someone call me stupid, along with some other bad words, but the point that they was trying to get at is I keep talking about the cuneiform tablets, specifically the Lost Book of Enki at the moment, and there's 1 to 14 of those, and the amount of information I'm giving out would, as he said, require the tablets to be a mile high. Now, although he hadn't watched any of my other videos or anything else, he did actually have a point. So I thought I'd better just address that. So the actual word isn't tablet in Sumerian. Now the people that translated it, because we call these, as you know, when we first found these, we said these were tablets. So obviously the people that's translated it don't actually know what that other word is, so they put the word tablet. So when in the ancient text it says they went away and wrote the information down on a, or in a, whatever it was, obviously the people translating it are holding what we now call a tablet. So they transcribed the word as tablet, or translated it, which makes sense. Now, going back in our past, if I said to you, or a caveman, here's a tablet and here's a book, both have writing on. Now, the caveman would assume 1 tablet, 1 book. Now, a book, as we know, has many pages. So the same goes for the cuneiform tablets. Just because they're not bound and attached to each other doesn't make it not a book, if that makes sense. So in other words, tablet 1 isn't, it's because again it's our language, we call it tablet, isn't 1 cuneiform tablet on its own. It's a series of tablets that create whatever their language was. In other words, it's a book. But you can't, in transcribing it, you can't say books, the lost, like tablets 1. So basically, I hope that sort of makes sense. So basically, there's more than 1 tablet that makes 1 tablet, but that's because of our language. I hope that makes sense. You may not know why the first king was ever appointed. Well, it's to do with King Anu from Nibiru coming down to Earth, and this was after the flood. And he spoke to his children, who told him about Gaozu, who they ended up believing to be the creator of everything. And because of that interaction they had prior to the flood, they believed that the creator of everything wanted humans to inherit the earth. So with that, King Anu said, okay, we will teach humans what we know. So they taught us law, math, linen, farming, everything that you can possibly think of. And yes, we can work out that it did actually come from Sumeria. And King Anu appointed a human to be a king. And he actually gave him a crown and scepter. That's where we get the crown and scepter from. But there is trouble ahead, big trouble. So it's at this point in history, after the flood, when King Anu came down to Earth, is where I believe, just from the research, that the gods, the Anunnaki main people, were actually in Greece, in Mount Olympus. Now, they had meetings there, and they ended up discussing the territories that should be given out to the Anunnaki to help the humans take over Earth, or inherit Earth. Now, they come up with the idea that Enki should have some land, Enlil should have some land, and when I'm on about land, I'm on about territory, massive territories, pretty much countries, or if not whole continents. And the Anunnaki should have their own land, but Ayana, yes, she is to get her own territory. And that, wait for the war, just coming. Keep watching. Oh, Ayana got her own land after all. But the problem started when King Anu decided to go and visit Enki's firstborn, who was banished. Now, at this point in history, Marduk, the firstborn son, was playing around at being Ra and trying to discount all the other gods because he was obviously angry prior to even knowing about Ayana getting land. So anyway, King Anu finally met up with Marduk and actually pardoned him. Yes, if you remember, he was banished, and not to get any land. But he was pardoned by King Anu, who said, look, you've gone for enough, you are now, you know, fine again. But when Marduk found out that Iana, as well as the three others that got land, but Iana should not have got land. He should have got land, and rightly so, to be fair. So guess what's coming next? Coming up in my future videos, I'll be able to tell you that the Minotaur was actually real and what he was guarding. I'll also be able to tell you that this helicopter is actually a helicopter, and this is a carving in Abydos that in Egypt that looks like spaceships as well, and I will be able to tell you who they belong to, and it wasn't to do with time travel. Tower of Babel was real. I can tell you who was building it and why and what actually happened to it, and it's again slightly different from what the Bible says, because the Bible, as we know, is a copy of the ancient text that I'm talking about. Atlantis, I can with some degree of certainty tell you that who was the Atlanteans and what actually happened to Atlantis. And we'll go through some things where the Bible unfortunately gets things wrong, where they talk here about rotting flesh and things like that, that actually they say is a plague, but when you watch my videos you'll realise it wasn't. So follow and subscribe.